Oh my gosh, you're almost there.
I know.
Everything. So world, hi, I am Nat. This is Kylee. She is 35 weeks and 4 days.
And I really am pregnant. I have to show people because otherwise they're going to be like, what? This lady.
I was just talking to my husband about
it doesn't fit anymore.
I mean, it's a bump. You got a few babies there. It's quite, we should have measured you just for fun from back to front.
It's so funny. Like my husband lovingly refers to it as the beluga belly, like it like straight out like a little whale. Now it's, my first son was the beluga belly and now it's the blue whale belly.
Oh my gosh. You need a tail. We need to get you like a whale tail for the back, like that comes out of the back of you because it's the perfect shape. And
oh my gosh.
Water and it would be perfect. Oh my gosh, how do you feel?
I'm actually feeling pretty good right now. We went through some contractions last week and stuff, but now it seems to be settling down, and they're super, super active. So that's like comforting, but kind of creepy at the same time. Like you can see their.
Well, I was watching your belly. You had the Instagram video of your belly. They were like really rocking.
Yeah. They're crazy in there. It's one is like we do ultrasounds obviously all the time, but one is like a little ball, and we're finally both head.
Could you see me? Did you just freeze
down? Which then the other is like stretched out completely, so they're completely opposite already.
Oh, MJ. Yay. So what does the doctor predict's going to happen next?
Well, they said that I'll probably go into labor naturally before 38, but they don't even know because my body, it seems, is prepared to hold on to these babies as long as possible.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. But they did give you a due date, a technical, like this would be the date that we're going to induce you, or they didn't even discuss that?
Nope, they're just going to say, like, they were like, well, we're probably we'll talk about it more when you get to 38. So I'm like, for my knowledge, it would be awesome to have that. But if whatever happens, I guess.
I'm actually really surprised that they don't have a plan. I'm fine with it. I trust your doctors completely. I think it's fantastic. But typically they at least have a plan that if it doesn't happen, just so that really it's more for you for planning for childcare.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I don't know how, if my network of doctors works in a certain way where they don't maybe have their schedules or something ahead of time, that far ahead of time. But I'm kind of nervous about it, but excited. I think that we'll probably, my feeling is that we'll go into labor naturally before 38, but
you'll see.
We'll see.
Well, you're getting some wonderful comments. Everybody is wishing you luck. Michelle is saying let them go as long as they can. Then there's other people that are saying that their doctors won't let them go past 38. So that's why there's like it's not a conflict. It actually seems to be a little hospital to hospital. It doesn't, like over here, there's no way. Like 38, if you don't have these babies, they're coming out just for safety reasons. But other doctors in other parts of the country are like, you know what? We're fine, because they look at the patient instead of looking at statistics. They check you to make sure that you're doing good. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I was very intrigued by it too because of the gestational diabetes as well. And there's been so much discussion on your guys' website as well about people having to go early or things like that with complications. And also I mentioned to the doctor, because I know on one of the feeds we were talking about both of them, catching them both head down, because they have not been head down at all. A's been head down and B's been breech. And I was freaking out because I was 4 weeks and they still were breech, or 35 weeks. And so I just did my ultrasound yesterday and they're both, and I'm like, okay, so let's go, come on, let's do this, because some people say they're gonna flip again, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. I don't want them to flip again.
I don't want them to either. I want them just to stay there. Now, what have you done? What did you do this week in order to prepare for now that it's almost game time, man. Like you're right there. So what did you do this week? Like what's on your final list of things that have to get done?
Okay, well, first of all, the big thing was to get my 2-year-old's birthday party out of the way.
Okay.
This Sunday, he turned 2, and I'm like, okay, finally, I can scratch that off my list. That was a very interesting whole thing in itself, since I rarely get out of the house. I'm kind of like just sitting on a towel, like you prepared me for, sitting on a towel on the couch or in the bed. And at all times being ready. But we went to Chuck E. Cheese and we had a blast, and it was an experience, and the babies had fun too. That's why they were all moving and going crazy on Sunday. And so my list. And then I did what you guys had talked to me about contacting my insurance for the breast pump, and making sure like some other ducks were in a row. Oh, I got the bag packed, and I have like all my little trinkets and things that I needed to put in for the hospital bag. But it's so hot in Arizona that we can't put in the car. Nothing's in the car, just waiting out inside because it's really hot here. So.
Oh my gosh. Now, did you get the prenatal belt?
I did. Yes. Thank you so much for that. Like I tried it. I've been using it a few times, but it's still pinching. I still have the issue of if I'm sitting down, I lose circulation completely. And then, and I would love to like talk a little bit more about like exactly the specifics about it, because it's an awesome belt. I felt like a few things that were different from my last belt. So the last one that I had was a Velcro one, and the Velcro obviously is irritating to the skin, but at the same time, like I could put it on by myself, whereas this one I couldn't put it on by myself. It's the clasps.
Yes.
So I had to have somebody do it. Yeah, the prongs. I couldn't reach around to do it myself, so I had to have somebody else do it for me. So that's something to consider. And then, but you could actually wear it against your skin, whereas the other one you couldn't.
Yes.
Or irritated really easily on my skin. And then the other thing was, I love the straps that go all the way up to the shoulders, but all maternity wear seems like it kind of cuts so that you can show the best parts of being pregnant, but the actual straps would be showing. So I was limited on what I could wear with it.
Yes, I imagine if it's insanely hot, there's no way you're wearing even short sleeves. You want to have as much skin exposed for fresh air as possible. Everybody wants to know, are you officially on bed rest?
Oh no, never been put on bed rest. I don't know if my doctors like don't really believe in it or whatever. Mostly they said if you but for my peace of mind, I just don't move much because when I do start getting active, I get my labor pains going.
Even without, being necessarily put on bed rest, you have to listen to your body. So if the doctor didn't put you on bed rest and you're like, you know what, I can't do it. A lot of people don't know, but you can actually ask your doctor to put you on bed rest. So let's say you work in an office and you have a lot of trouble sitting down all day or whatever. Even if the doctor isn't saying you need to go on bed rest, you could tell your doctor, listen, I just can't do it. And the doctor could literally write as if he was recommending bed rest, because you have to listen to your body, and nobody knows what's happening but you know what's happening. So the doctors can make suggestions unless they see like your cervix shortening or anything. They're not going to necessarily do it. But if you think that you have to do it, just speak to your doctor. But it's
yeah. And also I've had a different experience with that with my last pregnancy with my first son, the singleton birth. I felt like I needed to go on bed rest very early on because I was having labor pains and contractions and things like that at like 20 weeks starting on. And I was a teacher at the time, and I asked the doctor, but we were in the military hospital. I asked the doctor to do that, and they're like, we don't do those like doctor's notes for civilians like that, because they just don't really matter. You suck it up.
That's that.
But I did end up quitting my teaching job because I couldn't even stand on my feet.
Couldn't even imagine, like, especially at this time of year, if you're pregnant with twins and then you have to finish out finals or the end of school year. That's slight torture. But for those of you who are, good for you. Don't get stressed. You'll be okay. You'll make it. You'll go the distance. Now, I am curious to know what your plan is going to be after they are here. So who is coming to the hospital with you? Those questions is what I want to know. What are you going to do? Do you have a post-birth meal planned? Will you be drinking wine in the postnatal floor? Do you have a plan of who's going to be there with you this day? Or let's say your water does break in the middle of the night. What's the plan that goes into action?
So we've thought a lot about this because, you know, it is important to think about, I think, especially with my son being here. I think it would be a little bit easier if there's not another child involved, but we have basically somebody staying here on standby all the time. So my parents stay with us, thank God, right now, and my mom's been helping me take care of my son. And then they stay here every night, and if they're not here, then we have someone else stay here, which we have a guest room, which is nice. And then the big thing, everybody keeps asking me, like, oh, you need to call me when you go into labor. You need to call me when you go into labor. And these are like second cousins. They're, you know, the people that I'm like, I think I'm going to be thinking about something else like at that time. So I basically created a list for my mother and for my mother-in-law. Like, you call these people, and deal with it. I will tell you two what's going on, and that's my furthest of communication. Like, I don't need to be stressed out with calling the great grandparents and everybody else that's involved. So I'm going to be going there with my husband, and we basically prepared them because the doctor prepared us that the labor is going to be in the OR. There's nobody allowed there. My first son, I had at least 10 people in the room. Everybody, parents, brothers, everybody there, which was fun. But this will be a little bit different because we're going to be in the OR. It's just me and my husband, and they specifically said, you know, nobody's going to see the babies for at least 2-3 hours afterwards. So they want to be present in the waiting room, but I told them, you know what, don't worry about it. Take your time, because they're not going to be here right away anyways. So
a few things that I would tell you to tell your mother and your mother-in-law is to not make the phone calls until you say to make the phone calls. Okay, so you already know that you're going to have 2 to 3 hours, and that's actually low, 2 to 3 hours, because there should be time where you get to be with the babies with your husband without having an army around you. So I would recommend, since you already had the army the first time, that just give yourself, I'm not saying, you know, give yourself a day, but maybe since your mom and your mother-in-law are going to be so close on hand, say, we will tell you when to start making the phone calls. And if your family's mad at you, let your family be mad at you, because at the end of the day, the memory that you create of that first day, just give yourself a minute to be with your son and the babies and your husband. And also, you may want to have a plan of when your son is going to come to the hospital. So the good thing is he's still little, so it's not like he's going to feel like he has to be there before everybody else, because he's just a little baby himself. I keep thinking about that. That's going to be great.
I know, it's so cute. Yesterday, he's been loving going to the ultrasounds with me, and he's been so good. He like holds my hand, and he does all these like cute things. He says, we're gonna see babies on the TV, babies on the TV. And since it was his birthday, he wanted to bring his toy that he got for his birthday, his Mickey Mouse toy, to show the babies. And he told the babies about Chuck E. Cheese and all that stuff. It was so cute. But I'm like, you have no clue what's actually going to go down here in a few weeks.
Well, we have breaking news. Literally, we literally have breaking news right now. So, in keeping in the twin conversation, George Clooney's twins were just born. Literally.
No way!
Literally.
All right. Well, I got to go into labor now so I can have the twins on the same day.
So you could have a joint birthday party.
Oh my gosh.
With the Clooney twins.
Yay!
That's so cute. Ella and Alexander. I like it. Very, very sweet.
What?
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Names for a Clooney. I wonder if their last name's going to be Clooney. I hope that their last name, because if my dad was George Clooney, I would want my last name to be Clooney.
It's like so cool to have twins right now. Like everybody's
We're the coolest. We're the coolest. Kylee, we have been cool for a really long time. We just didn't let anybody know how cool we were. And then what happened is once I launched Twiniversity and everybody's reading about how cool it is, now it's like everybody wants to be a part of it. But
I know.
before, we were underground, and now sadly I threw us into the spotlight, and look what's happening.
I thought because I got pregnant with twins, all these famous people had to get pregnant with
They
twins
ruined
too. So cool.
The year that our twins were born, Julia Roberts had her twins. So, and she had her twins a few days, I think, before my twins were born. I can remember I was in the hospital, and then they're like, Julia Roberts' twins were born. And then also Marsha Cross, remember her from Desperate Housewives? Yep. She had twins that year too. I was like, why is everybody trying to copy me?
I know. Well, I'm just hoping for Beyonce's babies and my babies to be born on the same day. They could be best friends.
BFFs, they go to the prom together. It'll be great. I just think about, when Beyonce had her first child, she shut the hospital down. Like the labor and anybody, and my families, right? My Twiniversity families that were expecting to be delivered into the hospital that day were diverted to another hospital. So I just think that's crazy. Like the hospital was like, yep, we got you. We were going to shut everything down. But what about my twin moms who were supposed to be delivering? So yeah, that's the big breaking news. Okay, we have another question for you. As Megan wants to know, do you feel that your belly is still growing? And what does it feel like to have a beluga belly?
I know, right? It's so weird because I thought I was maxed out. I literally thought, no way can this get any bigger. And last week I posted about my picture, and even within the last few days, I'm like, it is gotten bigger. And the difference is it was sticking out, and now it's sticking out and coming down. It's okay.
It's lower.
We're too heavy now to stick straight out. That we're just straight down. Yes. But they're definitely heading in that direction down.
I want to get a giant rope and tie it from around your neck to under your belly to balance you out, or one of those stretchy resistance bands.
You'd
be
surprised how many comments I get about does your back hurt? Is it killing you? My back's not the problem. It's the weight. You feel like you're carrying a bowling ball in between your legs. That's really fun. And I was mentioning on my Facebook and my Instagram yesterday that 3 people yelled at me to sit down. Does anybody else get that? They're just go sit down. And I'm fine, people.
They should, because you should be sitting down anyway. Even if you go grocery shopping, you should be getting yourself one of those fancy scooters.
That's what they said.
Yes, I agree with them. Don't make me yell at you too. That's a lot. And just say, God forbid, you slipped or you're top heavy, you'll topple right over. No, I get nervous. Well, they are. Why don't, for funsies, measure yourself today at your belly button and do it tomorrow and see if you grew in a day.
Yeah. I have a little measuring tape. I thought I had one in my office, but it's not right here. But I do have one. So much fun. This is a life of a trainer. I have measuring
Oh, well, yeah, that's even
tapes
better.
every time.
You know exactly where to measure yourself. Please, for fun.
Yes.
This is what we like to do for Sport at University.
Oh man, my
Oh my
shirt
God,
don't fit
girl.
very well.
You can do it. Stretch.
Okay, that's my belly button. 44 inches.
44 inches.
That
You
is
can
that
get
normal?
nice jeans. Oh my gosh. That is awesome. Yes, look at that. You're so fantastic. I wonder if Amal's belly was 44 inches.
Well, she's so tiny. Oh my goodness.
So
I don't know where they hide those
about?
babies.
That's you too. You don't even look pregnant, and then you turn around and then you knock things over with your belly. It's like bloop. That's the way. Everybody carries differently. There is no kind of standard size for a twin pregnancy. Some people carry much wider. Some people carry all in the front. So now in your beluga belly, where are the babies living right now? So like, here's whose head and is
baby A is like super way down here, and he just like goes. They're all like facing my back. They're like facing my back, yeah, both of them. And they're just hanging out down in the pelvis area. And then they're all on the left side. Basically, they like shift this way all the time. And then baby B is head down, but like it curled in a ball, like right here. You could just right there.
I love it. You're getting hellos from Scotland. So you now have it's just great. Everybody's telling us about George and Amal's babies. I love them, I do, but Kylie's babies are my priority.
No, they're awesome too.
That's the way that we do it. Well, they don't need us. You know, like if they needed us when we found out that everybody was expecting, I was like, I will help anybody that needs us. But you know, sometimes if they have a lot of help or are super prepared, then they're fine. You know, it's the average Joe mom that I say that needs us more than anybody. I needed us. That's why I created Twin Universities. I needed somebody like us. All right, so we got our delivery day. Your mom and your mother-in-law, you already made the list. You're not going to rush having everybody there. The other reason why I say that is because let's say you're going to go into recovery regardless, right? So you go from the OR into a recovery room. You don't go right into a room, no matter what. That's just kind of the process when you come out of there. Because you're in recovery, it may either could take them a long time to find you a bed, or B, maybe you really need a little bit extra. Maybe you lost a little bit more blood or fluids than estimated. So they may want to keep you to monitor you more than they did with your singleton. So you don't want to have everybody come in and then hold your babies and meet them before you do.
Yeah.
That's really the reason why I say just be thoughtful of that. And a lot of people don't think about it. And truthfully, I didn't. So when my babies were born, I didn't have a list. My babies were born at 5 a.m. And I guess my sister just started calling people or whatever. So everybody stayed with me in the hospital since I was induced at midnight. Everybody stayed overnight. So it was my mother-in-law, my mother, and my sister. And my aunt was there too. And then people started taking shifts. But after delivery, since I had such a bad delivery, I was in recovery for a long time. So people were going to visit the babies and they can't visit me because I'm technically in ICU in recovery. So nobody could come and see me, but they could go and see the babies. So I was like, why are all these people feeding my babies before I have even met them? So I don't want you having that experience. I don't want you telling that story to anybody because it still kind of bothers me a tiny bit. So,
yeah, I read your blog post the other day about your birthing experience and it made me cry. I was like,
I wish you didn't. I wish you didn't, but Jewel could throw a link to anybody who wants to read it. It was, I had a very, very, very good career before Twiniversity came about. Not a great career, but I worked in African travel. I had like a great life. I had a great job. But because of that day and just because of everything, I just feel like my whole life had to change. Like I was like, there's nobody, nobody should ever feel by themselves or scared or whatever. And if there's some way that we could help, that's why we did this. And then having conversations with you makes other people see that, yeah, like this is average and you sit on a towel and you don't leave the house much and it's not crazy. This is just our normal. is what it is. And we have so many people right now that are 38 weeks, 37 weeks, 27 weeks. So people are jumping on and they're throwing old questions at us. Now, other things that I wanted to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure that you pack good pads. So you got that. So I love the Always Infinity, the biggest ones that they make, you need them. And if you think you bled a lot with your son, just wait is all that I have to say, because your uterus is bigger now. So there's more.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So read good times. So also plan what you're going to eat after they're here. So high protein, high fiber. I don't know if you could, your gestational diabetes might not level off for a little bit. So just be prepared for that. So no ice cream sundaes necessarily in the recovery room.
What? I was ready for the bazooki, the pizza cookie with the, like, I'm so ready to just be like, deliver me food, people. That's what I want.
What is a bazooki?
A pizza cookie.
A pizza cookie? What does that mean?
A cookie made in a pizza pan with an ice cream on top.
Is that what that's called, a bazooki?
So delicious.
I didn't know. Look, my dog even came to participate into the.
It's the cool things we have in Arizona that, I mean, come on, you gotta have that in New York City. Bazooki.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this up. All right. My next question is birth plan. Did you create a birth plan?
So I was looking over it, like, the only problem is I'm really one of those people that just like super go with the flow. Like, I trust whatever the doctors say. And since I don't get to actually say like, this person's going to be my doctor, because we have a network of doctors, I want them to be comfortable. Like I hear so many things, like if your one baby is breech, some doctors are comfortable with it, and then but what if they're not? And then I try to force it on them, and then it goes badly. So
you're right. You're absolutely right.
I'm their professional opinion.
Good. But there's other things, like you could have music in the you know, like little things like that, or what your breastfeeding plans are. And it doesn't have to be like a hard or fast rule, so don't get stressed about that. But I mean, if there's anything that matters, you have such an advantage over other families because you had that first delivery. Yeah. So you think back now, without your first delivery, what are some of the things that you did in your first delivery that you're like, I definitely want to make sure we do this again?
The epidural.
Epidural is your favorite one.
Like, I want to be not really in pain that much. So I think that it was awesome having the experience with my first.
Yeah.
Like, I props to anybody who goes natural, because I was all the way up to like 8 centimeters dilated. Then I finally got my epidural. And I enjoyed the experience a lot. So after that, I was fine. But I just kept saying, I just give it up to anybody who could do this naturally, because I'm not one of those people, unfortunately. I wish I was stronger, but I have so much praise and everything for
don't wish you anything. You are like, I feel very Mr. Rogersy, but don't feel like you should be anything else. Just because you have an epidural doesn't make you a better mother than somebody else. Everybody has a different level of tolerance, and everybody has a different priority. It really depends on what you want. I don't want you to feel bad about that or worry about anybody judging you. I'd be mad if anybody was being super judgy at Twiniversity. That goes like against everything we stand for. There is not a right way to do things or a wrong way to do things. The way that you want it done is the right way, period, the end. Doesn't matter.
I had a question though, because I did have a singleton birth before. Like, usually they say like the second birth is like much faster and easier and smoother. But is that the same because it's twins? Is that still going to be the case, faster, you think? Or
I don't know. I mean, I know that that's what they say, right? They say, but I delivered in 5 hours after my water broke, and I was a first-time mom. So it's one of those things that the babies are going to be the judge. I tend to think that it goes a little bit faster in a twin birth, only because there's a second baby potentially pushing down the other one. So instead of just your placenta being in there, you got your placenta and the baby. So it's gravity that's doing a little bit more work for you than anything else. But I don't know statistically if it's quicker. Because you've already had it, your body also knows what to do. So regardless, it's just like, yeah, we got this. We already did this. We've been through this. And then you have one baby and your body's like, what? There's another one? Who signed up for this?
I know, it's weird. I don't know if you guys, if there's some moms that are second time moms on here, but it is so weird knowing the feelings now of what labor is and having, and like feeling, it feels different. Like, oh my gosh, I'm already like opened up, ready to go. And it's like really personal and gross, but like, I feel like, I'm like, I could feel everything. Like, it's just so weird.
But
and
you're very aware
yeah,
because you went through it before. So now the first time when you went through it, there's a few things that you could feel that could be a little bit scary. Like your pelvis actually moves and your hips widen, and it's like, it's a little freaky, but now you're not as freaked out. You're just like, wowie, wow, wow.
like, how am I gonna, I kept asking with my first one, how am I gonna know I'm in labor? How am I gonna know? And this one, it's like, oh, you know. When you
like, how do you
my
know?
mom kept telling me that, but I didn't.
How do you know?
Believe her? But
you just know. You know these things. How do you know when you're in labor? But it's a lot. It's a very common question, and labor is so scary for so many moms because so many things could happen. And it's the day that you get a title change, right? So you get a title change to mom and dad, and it's a really, really big day. And we had a very big discussion. We had the Twiniversity class last night here in New York City. We had an extensive discussion about delivery day, and also what dad's job is on delivery day, and how he basically has to be an advocate for you. And if you're cold or if you're hot or if you're uncomfortable, if you do get that epidural, not everybody reacts to an epidural in the same way. Some people get super quiet. Some people get like almost a little loopy.
me.
So you don't know. So you get loopy. You're like the four cosmopolitans deep is how that goes. Oh, that's fun though. That's a fun epidural.
I was like, I love you, epidural man. Like, you're the best person in the world. And I just kept pressing the button like it's gonna do something more.
It's like Jeopardy. No! That's always, it's the Jeopardy buzzers, and you're like more. For those of you who are delivering in a teaching hospital, I highly recommend that you get your epidural from the attending physician, because if it's a teaching hospital, there could be residents and interns and just newbies. We want the big cheese. So make sure that I really give this job to the husbands, because you should not have to remember to do anything other than push or show up on time. So yeah, just make sure that you are getting your epidural from an attending physician. All right. So
because at that point you're screaming out, I don't care what you stick in me. Get me an epidural now.
And you can't wait. Like if you want it, you have, there's a window that you could get it, because once once you start dilating a little too much, they can't do it. They can't put you, especially if your contractions are very often, they can't stick a needle into your spine if you're in the middle of a contraction. So you have to at least know. That's kind of what I was talking about with the birth plan. So you got it down. As long as you know, you definitely are a big fan of the epidural, and you already have your list plan, you're really set. Do you have everything put together, like the bouncy seats and everything? Well, we saw the nursery last week, which is cool. But you have your bottles washed?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything.
We did the sterilizing, and we did all the strollers ready, and all the car seats ready, all the fun stuff. And I posted that the other week I posted that I wanted my push gift to be a housekeeper. And so a housekeeper is coming tomorrow to clean my house. So I will be prepared beforehand to clean somebody else needs to clean it, because I can't do it right now.
Oh, no. How are you going to do anything? Now, our next question from the Peanut Gallery is they want to know how tall you are.
Oh, I'm 5'2".
So the answer is yes. So there is, my theory is that the more petite you are, the bigger your belly is. But it's really not any bigger. It's just the proportion.
I have a short torso too, so
oh my gosh.
like it really.
Yes. It is hilarious. But yeah, I found, so my friend Tara, who's significantly smaller, we were pregnant at the exact same time with twins. So she lives on the West Coast, I was on the East Coast. We actually met on a Yahoo group when we were going through IVF together. And then she conceived her twinnies maybe a few weeks before mine. Her twinnies were born on my birthday. We're actually still very good friends to this day, 12 years later. And there's been so many things in our lives that we've crossed paths. It just happened again the other day that I met somebody who knew her, that it was one of those, 7 degrees of separation. But her belly and my belly, we look like two different pregnancies because I'm almost 6 feet. So at almost 6 feet in comparison to, 5 feet and change, it's totally a different ballgame where my body stretched it out. Hers was like yours and she was belly, super, super belly. So yes. Now, do you have names picked out?
I do. They're matching names. They're Keegan and Caden.
Keegan and Caden.
Yes.
Oh, I like it so much.
Keegan is Keegan O'Connor Austin, and Caden will be Caden Robert Austin.
How are you spelling Caden?
With a K. We had a very big discussion about the Caden spelling, because I don't know, my husband he's very hands-on with everything. And so he decided he would like Kayyd. So we had to have the Y in there, even though that's, I guess, supposed to be a girl's spelling of the name, but I don't know. We liked it, so.
I think it's a very, very nice name. And how are you? So it's Keegan and Caden?
Yeah.
And how are you spelling Keegan?
Keegan.
Just regular Keegan, nothing fancy. Yeah, there's so many different variations that I feel like even if people are naming their kid Beth, they're throwing in like a silent J. Like, I'm like, what is happening? I don't know how to spell anybody's name anymore.
It's been so controversial picking names too. Like, everybody has to have a say, and like the grandparents are like, but we're gonna be like like I'm like, well, I want them to have similar names. I don't know. It just sounds cool.
I like it. I think it is cool. And I think whatever you choose is the right names for your babies. And the funny part is that's what you're planning. But when they get there and you meet them, you'll be like, nope.
I know. I don't know what.
That's it. That's that.
Yeah. And it was such a big deal because somebody got embroidered clothes for them to come home in. And I put one spelling on the baby shower invitation, and then we changed the spelling, and they were like, I can't believe you changed the spelling. And I'm like, they're babies, they're not gonna know how to read it. But
uproar. I love stuff, but that's fun to keep. Even the embroidery stuff, when the babies were born, I had a separate name picked out that we didn't. I wanted to name my daughter Amanda, or I don't know what happened, we ended up naming her Anna, but in the meantime somebody bought me a Christmas ornament that said Amanda. So it's actually on our tree. I put it up every year. My daughter's middle name is Amanda. So I think my son gets a little mad because we have the Anna one and Amanda. So it's her whole name, where Johnny just has John. And I should probably go and find for him. But yeah, to me, when I look at it, and same thing with your embroidery, it just tells a story. And you're like, You know what? This is part of your little history that we're already creating. Oh, it's so cute. All right. Another question is, do you have any stretch marks? And if so, are you using creams?
I have lots of stretch marks. They started from my first son. And I had a hernia as well from my first son, so all of my belly button is just wrecked. Basically just all the stretch marks come straight from there, but I've noticed like they're like underneath where you can't see too now, like, so they started spreading out. But I was using vitamin E oils mostly, and I just kind of gave up at this point.
Yeah, and that's it. You're just like, I'm done rubbing myself down with 800 lotions and potions. You could do coconut oil too, and it smells nice.
Yeah, and you know what? That they said the ultrasound tech told me that the babies go crazy with cocoa. Like they absorb the like energy
From maybe
of the going crazy.
like cocoa butter? Like
Yeah.
that kind of, wow.
And so I didn't know this, but so then I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch what I put on there.
So that's it. I'll stop using that vodka cream.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, great vodka right on the bellies.
Now, if you do end up having a C-section, so let's just say that happens, are you worried about it? Are you prepared for it? Did you do any homework on it? Like, it may not happen. You could easily have, 2 vaginal deliveries, but like Julie, Julie had a vaginal delivery and then a C-section in the same day.
See, that's what I'm worried about most, is like that one would be regular and then one would be the C-section, because that seems like terrible. About having a C-section, because I had my first son vaginally. So the things that have calmed me is basically you guys' forums, just like seeing other moms' experiences and seeing that, some people are able to recover very easily from C-sections and just depending on what your body takes to it. And then I put in my head kind of a motivating factor that if I do have a C-section, then when I get that tummy tuck eventually one day, I could just use the same scar. Is that, I know that's like, so you guys probably hate me, but
no, why? Stop that. I don't like that you're worried about what other people think. You do what's best for you. Who cares about that? I
am me.
If that's what you want, and the mom that I was just talking about that had the twins that was tiny, she had a tummy tuck, because when your belly gets to be beluga size, it's occasionally necessary. There's only so much that your skin will go back to. And you also, I hope it doesn't happen, but you're at a higher incidence of diastasis.
I have it already. They already said, you are ruined for life, basically. So I'm going to have some kind of procedure done in the future. And if it uses the same scar, or if I'm scarred up, that's fine. So that's kind of like where my mind goes as far as the C-section. It is what it is, and it will be useful maybe in the future. So
it will be, and don't get worried about it. And what's the big deal? I just want you to know, like, it's a potential thing that could happen. So you should, regardless of what the doctor says, you should just prepare both ways. That Jeopardy buzzer comes in really handy with your C-section, but it's even a little bit more important to get up and walk. After delivery. So, once your epidural is worn off and everything is good and you've got the clearance from your nurses, just really, really, really try your best. But another kind of plus side of a C-section, as crazy as this sounds, is that the doctors get an opportunity to look at your reproductive organs in a way that they could never do any other way. So if you have polyps or fibroids or anything going on whatsoever, whether you had fertility issues or not, it gives them an opportunity to make sure that everything is good. So a lot of people always try to, I always find a silver lining, because there is silver linings into everything, but if you don't look, you're never going to find it. But with a C-section, it's one of those things that they could really see what's going on and everything is cleaned. And it's just, I don't want you to really worry about it, but I want you to know it is totally a possibility. And if that's the possibility, they may not let you hold them in the operating room. So you may want to talk to the doctor. That's why it's like, not that I don't like that he's not necessarily preparing you, but I would say, okay, let's just say for fun's sake that I do end up having a C-section. What's the hospital's policy on holding the babies in the OR? Is it just going to be your husband that holds them, or because of the way that they give you your IV, are you going to be able to hold them? What kind of gown are you wearing? So even if they're not preparing you, there's questions that I would ask your doctor, just out of curiosity, and say, do you have a longer time in recovery after you have a C-section, and how many hours is that typically, which could help your mom and your mother-in-law plan for calling your families as well. Another thing that I want you to think about, if you haven't gotten it, it's called a free debt. It's a peri bottle. So did you buy it with the gooseneck one?
No, but like last time that when I delivered, they had pretty much the same, but not with the gooseneck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I would get it if no
Okay.
doubt, just because the neck, even though the peri bottles are great and they hold a good amount of water, if you have a C-section, it's harder to bend. And
Okay.
so you might not be able to kind of get up in there, so to speak. So having the little crane neck will make it a lot easier for you. So I would get that, and I would throw that into your hospital bag. Now, another thing is, and I don't remember if we talked about this, and if we did, I apologize, and you have to refresh my memory, but are you considering doing cord blood storage?
I was, but I'm worried about the cost of it. Like that was my biggest thing. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do the investment, which is sad. I know, but
It's not sad. If it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards, and don't get too worried about it. I would consider it personally, from Nat to Kylie. I would consider it because I actually have a child that would have benefited from his stem cells. So I rarely run into people like me, which is really good, and I'm knocking on wood, and I hope that I never meet anybody that would use their stem cells. But for us, we would have, and I do regret not doing it. So,
well, if anybody has research on like how much it costs or like what would be an affordable option.
We have Twiniversity has a code, because I purposely saw it, and I actually go, and Julie could attest, I go and argue with companies to give us a better discount, because with two, it's a lot. So the company that we play with at Twiniversity, which gives us a really great discount, is Cord Blood Registry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very specific about them because they have the most amount of collections in storage. So technically they have the most to lose, because these are all private companies. And I've seen, since Twiniversity started in 2009, I've seen 2 companies go under. So I always go with the big guys. So with CBR, you could take any of their discounts that you find online, but if you call them and tell them that you're a Twiniversity family, you get an extra $200 off.
Wow.
And then in addition to that, if any of you online with us right now have registered with CBR, let Kylie know, because then Kylie could use your name as the referral, and both of you will get a year off of storage. So
Okay.
there's another $500 off just by using another Twiniversity member's name. I don't know if they really want me to tell people about that, but I always tell people about that. So too bad if CBR is watching. But with us, I know that they do cord blood and cord tissue. I would say the cord blood, especially for twinnies, because I've seen all the crap that they've done in 10 years with it. And I think, like, what if my kids are, 50 and have, ovarian cancer or something, or testicular cancer? Like, technically by then you might be able to use that, but it's not in the cards for everybody. But if it's not, ask your hospital if you could donate it.
Oh yeah.
There's some banks, like, I don't know if Arizona has it, but there's some state and city banks that they'll take your stem cells and they'll put them in their own bank. And then if there's anybody who needs like a bone marrow transplant or whatever, they could find a match, but don't let them go to waste. Whatever you do, find out, throw it in the trashola. And I know in delivering in Japan last time, that might not have been an option. So now you have that option.
Do the kits come really fast? Is it like a kit and then you bring it to the hospital?
Yeah, you call them. You don't pay anything until they know they have a viable collection. Okay. So let's say they didn't get enough sample, then they don't charge you. But you got to call them and you got to get the boxes. So they send you these 2 boxes, and then they'll call your doctor to make sure that your doctor knows how to do the collection. Because it's one thing to have the boxes, but your doctor's got to be somewhat trained. So either they'll walk your doctor through it, or I don't know how they do it, but they'll call him or her and they'll set that up. And then you just put them in your hospital bag. And then there's a number to call, and then a courier comes, picks it up. And the funny thing is that their storage facility is out by you.
Oh.
And I wonder if it's cheaper because it's out by you.
Probably.
Because there's less delivery. So I'm going to find that out. I want to know that, but I would give them a buzz and let them give you a bottom line. I think that it is about 2,300 for both.
Okay.
So that, I think, is what it is. Julie, if you know, I know Julie's on. If you know differently, then tell us. But that's about what it is. But for me, I genuinely do. I mean, I don't like often, I don't recommend a bazillion things, but it's just something that's always bothered me that I never did. And like maybe you'll never use it, but for 2,300, I'd rather roll the dice. God forbid, and you did need it and you didn't have it. It just drives me crazy. So it's one of my things I lose sleep about as a twin mom.
How about, I have a question for like the delayed cord clamping.
Yes.
Like, can you do that with twins?
Yeah. You could only do it with this company as far as I know. So what their kit is they take like this stem cell retriever and they put it into the umbilical cord, and then they have like a siphon that could pull the cells out. Where other companies, literally, it's like if you had like a full straw, they would just take the stuff out. With CBR, which is another reason why we play with them, is that you can do the delayed cord blood clamping, and it's a non-issue for them.
Even if you have a C-section, you could do that, or does that only, okay.
No, absolutely. Well, it depends. It depends on what your doctor feels comfortable with. If everybody's in distress, nobody's letting you do delayed cord blood clamping. Like if they got to get B out, there's no time to wait for A. So that's another thing, but that's something that you need to put on your.
Yeah. So you just write it on your birth plan and let them know ahead of time. Okay.
I would, in the back of the book, how funny is this? I don't have the book in front of me, but just rip those pages out. Just literally rip the pages out of the book. So in the back of what to do when you're having I can't believe I don't have a copy of my own book in front of me.
I have it next.
Don't worry about it, but literally
to my bathtub.
Rip the pages out and then fill out just the parts that you want. You don't have to fill out the whole thing because it may not apply to you. But just the things that you're like, okay, I really want to do this, because they're not going to do it unless you ask.
Okay.
Give them a heads up on some of the stuff that you want. How hilarious is this? We have to go.
I know.
I have to go get my kids from school.
Oh.
Totally. I could talk to you all day, and there was other things that I wanted to talk to you about, but we're going to now wait, and we're going to save this for our next conversation.
Yeah, maybe I'll still be pregnant.
I feel like you may be. I feel like you're going to hate being pregnant the next time I talk to you, and you're going to be like, nope, totally done, ready for the at-home C-section kit. Where do I buy this on Amazon? Yeah, but
next time, let's talk about how get as a pregnant lady this far along. No, so I don't feel alone.
We have a lot of people that are doing great. So what we could do is, if you are not already following Kylee on her Facebook page and her Instagram page is my favorite. She made Brussels sprouts the other day that literally made me hungry because I love Brussels sprouts. I was very excited about that.
Food.
But you could follow her. Julie's going to put in the links right now, so you could stalk her over there, send her private messages. I'm just putting that out there, Kylee. I didn't even ask you, but I know that you're okay with it. And then there's, of course, us on Twiniversity, and I am at Nat's Real World is mine, which I have to make sure that you're connected with me.
Yeah, I just did. I didn't realize you had one.
Yes, I try to keep church and state separate because it gets a little complicated. And I don't think that necessarily everybody at Twiniversity wants to see pictures of my glorious dog, but she is my best friend. So sometimes
I liked your 60 seconds with Nat the other day.
Thank you. It's my weird, I can't believe how many people watch those. I'm like, guys, I do it when I'm walking to the subway to go get the kids. I'm like, oh, I got to fill everybody in. And I always do black and white because I never have makeup on. That's really the reason why they're black and white. It's because
I gotta have a good filter. Gotta have a good filter.
The black and white just covers everything. I like it a lot. All right. So next week we're going to talk about, I don't know when I'm going to see you next. Next week we're talking to Chelsea. Join us though because Chelsea's babies are here. And then the week after that, we have a new expecting mom that just found out she's expecting. So look, it's like our Twiniversity Mom Squad family is just, we're growing, but we want to make sure that everybody, if you have questions about whatever, that they could get their questions answered. My door refuses to stay shut today.
I can't wait for your video tomorrow about traveling because we're definitely taking a trip. So.
All right, good. I got it. By the way, don't know what I'm talking about. We'll figure that out about a half hour before the live chat begins. No, but we're doing it with Cybex. Those car seats they blow my mind. I Love them. The Cloud Q ones, wait till you see it tomorrow. So good. I will see you tomorrow then. So you will see me. Make sure you comment. Everybody else is more than welcome to join us. And if you haven't, guys, taken a Twiniversity class, we actually have one coming up this Saturday. Kylie, if you're bored and want to jump in, tell Jewel and she'll give you a login. But yeah, it would be fun. So this Saturday, it's going to be in 2 sessions on a Saturday. We never do a Saturday, and we will never do a Saturday again. This is it. Like, I like the weeknights. It's just better for everybody. So if the Saturdays are the only day you can do it, it's kind of a now or never situation. So join on in. All right, my love. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And your new 2-year-old. It's so exciting. Tell your mom I said hi.
I will. Bye, baby.
Oh, I cannot even imagine what you are going to look like next time. I love it. All right, my love, if you need me, you know where to find me, okay?
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, girlie. See you later.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.